I'm Sean Thomas, and this is Local Flight. Join me as we travel across the country to discover extraordinary bartenders and purveyors. We'll share their stories as they work together to create innovative cocktails using unique local ingredients. In this episode of Local Flight, we're bringing a tried and true Chicago tradition to one of the most cutting-edge cocktail kitchens in the country. Chicago is the epicenter of molecular gastronomy in America, thanks to Chef Grant Achat's world-famous eatery, Alinea. The Aviary, its sister institution, is a cocktail lounge where bartenders are trained as chefs. Inside their bar-kitchen hybrid, extraordinary drinks are invented that delight the eyes and mind as much as the palate. Right now, I'm heading to The Office, an intimate, invitation-only bar beneath the Aviary, to meet beverage director Micah Melton. Thank you for inviting me. I understand this is invitation only.
It is.
I'm surprised they let me in.
Snuck you down.
Okay, Micah, so where am I?
The basement bar of the Aviary. We call it The Office.
Right off the bat, I noticed the contrast between the two spaces. Upstairs, sleek, stylish, and open. This seems like more warm and inviting. The kind of room I want in my house.
It's exactly supposed to be like that. The modern and the classic. So the juxtaposition of modern technique and modern space and feel, and then classic leather. Fairly straightforward, but some fun twists in both sides.
You definitely have set yourself apart from a lot of the other cocktail establishments around town. So where do you draw your inspiration and what are you set to do here?
A big part of it is just adding another element beyond just the flavor of cocktail. Presentation, the look, the feel, the sound that make you remember something other than just the taste or just the drink.
Well, I'd love to ask you more, but to be honest with you, I'm very excited to try one of your drinks. So
a cool way to see the actual difference between the two bars is taste the drink upstairs first.
Okay.
Later on, we can come back down and have a drink down here.
That sounds great.
All right, so welcome to the Aviary.
This does not look like a bar. This looks like a kitchen.
Essentially all designed to run exactly like a kitchen. We should see one of our more popular service pieces. We call it the porthole. So the whole idea here is an infusion. So the beginning of the drink tastes completely different than the end of the drink.
That's awesome.
So this is ginger and some fennel bulb. We're gonna put some fennel frond in as well to add a little more of the fennel flavor, but in a different way. So then the main flavor change in this is honeybush. Honeybush is similar to a rooibos tea if you've ever had it. A pinch of saffron as well. This will change the color and obviously add a ton of that saffron flavor. This is dried chrysanthemum.
Is that almost like chamomile?
Very similar, yeah, that kind of light yellow flower flavor. A little lemon twist, and we just pop the whole thing together. And then once this is all complete, the only thing that we have to do essentially when the drink is ordered is fill it up. So it's designed to look like a porthole in a submarine. So you're looking out into the ocean, you're seeing all the plants, the seaweed.
That is so cool.
So then just pour the base in. White whiskey from Tennessee, very, very high corn profile. A little bit of ginger liqueur and verjus, which is like a grape juice before it ferments and turns into wine. So this is a drink that we call the hollow.
I've never seen anything like this. This is amazing. It's the first cocktail I've seen that's actually gonna steep like tea.
So what we do is we recommend pouring out a little bit at a time. And you'll see even just now from where I poured the base in, there's a little yellow already from the saffron.
Yeah, wow.
The honeybush.
Cheers, thank you.
Cheers.
Wow, that's incredible. And the only sweetening agent comes from the ginger liqueur?
Yeah, there's a ginger liqueur.
Really, really nice. I get the corn whiskey. It's dry, very balanced. The botanicals, just a whole nother level. There's so much going on.
As it sits, it's gonna pull in more of the flavor and transform from what you're tasting now into something much more infused, much more steep.
Certainly, and I imagine every sip is going to be different. You'll never get bored.
The idea is just to add another element because that really brings you in and makes you remember a drink.
Such a culinary influenced cocktail.
Awesome, cheers.
So, the point of me being in Chicago is to draw some inspiration from this city. I'm here to find a Chicago ingredient. Any ideas?
I have a couple ideas, some places in the neighborhood that have been around for years and years and years and does great flavor compositions, very similar to the way we do it in the porthole.
Well, what do you say we go and get that ingredient?
Let's do it.
All right. Chicago has a deep tradition of Italian cuisine. At JP Graziano, the oldest Italian market in town, fourth-generation owner Jim Graziano whips up delicious sandwiches using a staple ingredient little known outside the Windy City, the spicy vegetable relish giardiniera. Sean, Jim, Jim.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Micah.
What's up, buddy?
We came here to get a taste of real authentic Chicago
Cool.
cuisine. So
You're in the right spot, my friend.
Awesome.
My great-grandpa moved into this location in 1937. Next month, we'll be here 78 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you very
Awesome.
much.
Yeah.
Specifically on the jardinera, like a rough cut vegetables, pickled and then packed in olive oil or vegetable oil is very Chicago unique. It's something that I had when I was a kid, so it was very important to me. And, important to me to bring that traditional product back into the store.
That's great.
You guys want to try some?
I'd love to.
So there's a hot and a mild version.
Thank you.
So the base recipe is celery, carrot, red bell pepper, cauliflower. It's packed in vegetable oil after it's pickled. And then the hot has everything that the mild does with the addition of serrano peppers.
That's so good.
I mean, I think it goes well on any sandwich. If you're letting me call the shot, I would do a classic Italian with the hot giardiniera. Very straightforward, very basic. I like to say, so we know what we're doing.
Right.
And we could do the mild giardiniera on the Mr. G.
That sounds delicious.
All right, we'll do them right now.
All right, cool, thanks.
Giardiniera, the name itself in Italian, would be from the garden. This is something that, they would start pulling in spring and through summer, and then to get through the winter, instead of it going bad, they find a way to jar it and pickle it. So it was really out of necessity that it all started. And a lot of good textures. It's important for us that the vegetables stay nice and crunchy, especially when we get it on the sandwich. It adds another dimension of texture to the sandwich. I'll split these two up for you guys so you could each try it out. So you got the Mr. G on your left,
Okay.
and the Italians are on your right.
Buon appetito.
It's a good sandwich.
The whole thing, the texture and the flavor of the bread's really nice. You ready for the Mr. G?
There's a truffle vinaigrette, the fresh basil on the Mr. G as well. That kind of will pop up in a flavor, marinated artichokes. It was important to me to find like kind of a proprietary sub as a special place in my heart as well. It's named after my father.
Well, if that sandwich is supposed to prove that you guys know what you're doing, you guys know what you're doing here at
Good to
JP
hear.
Graziano's. The giardiniera works great in a sandwich. How are you going to take some of the flavors that we are enjoying right now
And incorporate it in a cocktail.
The Mr. G gives me a lot of inspiration for just using just the oil. I think it's a great base. The flavor is so unique and so intense in a certain way that it'll be a main
It'll be in the
flavor,
forefront?
for sure.
All right, this is some delicious inspiration if I do say so myself. Jim, pleasure to meet you.
Absolutely, guys.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for coming
Grazie.
by.
Thank
Take
you.
care, my friend.
Pleasure.
Enjoy, guys.
Graziano's Giardiniera will provide a delicious base for our new cocktail. But to put our own super local spin on it, Micah is taking me to the Lincoln Park Green City Market that focuses on vegetables grown in and around Chicago.
Finally getting nice in Chicago, so thought it'd be good to stop through Green City Market and
Okay.
see what they got going on. Maybe start with some herbs.
So I remember in the Giardiniera there was those dry Italian herbs. So you think that's what we'll go for here?
There's some parsley right there.
Oh, cool. All right.
We're gonna want to use it right away, so we're gonna want the larger plants.
Okay.
Whereas if you're growing it something smaller like this, that's just flowering,
Do you think this is enough here?
that's plenty. Yeah.
Smells good.
There's some tarragon,
Tarragon.
nice and soft. It's a great spring herb because it's just super fresh. It kind of freshens up all the things that are in season right around spring.
I think we're off to a good start.
There's some spring garlic, spring onions.
I know these onions. Last time I was in Chicago, actually, we did a drink with these onions.
Chicago is like the onion capital of the world. Ramps go crazy this time of year. So I think maybe for the giardiniera, if we grab some green garlic.
Okay. Can you
Nice
use the
and green.
greens as well?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then spring onions.
Okay. Now spring, because it's a little early still, so
Yeah.
they're smaller, probably a little bit more acidic.
Right, and the greens are actually delicious as well because they're still nice and soft and tender.
Take
There you
that.
are. See what else?
Are we looking for anything in particular? I mean, we got our herbs, we have some greens.
Anything with acidity to kind of mimic the flavor of the acid.
Okay. Sorrel?
Sorrel, yeah. Sorrel would be great.
Tell me about sorrel. I actually don't know anything
So
about it.
kind of green in flavor, but nice acidity, like this nice fresh lemon flavor on the finish.
Oh, yeah.
Be good for the acidity of the giardiniera.
Okay. So we're doing pretty good here. I mean, how many more ingredients do you think we need for this giardiniera?
Well, I think we need something that's not just green.
These beautiful looking things, they match my shirt. I
Oh
mean,
yeah, chive.
Smells pretty good. You want to take a smell?
Smells great.
You got to stop to smell the flowers sometimes. So where do you guys grow these chives?
We grow them in Chicago Heights.
Okay, not too far from here.
It's like 35 miles south.
Okay,
pretty
cool.
close.
Right on. We'll take them.
Perfect.
Great. Every time I come to a farmer's market, it feels like a little treasure hunt. I always find things I didn't know I needed.
Or stuff that you didn't actually need.
Exactly, exactly. Armed with our bounty of locally grown herbs, we're ready to head back to the kitchen at the aviary and then on to the office to see if we can reinvent a Chicago tradition.
The flavor of the jardiniere, the traditional flavor, just like in the Mr. G, is gonna come from the oil. So I think what I'm gonna do first is a technique called fat washing. So fat washing is essentially taking two liquids that won't mix and pulling flavor from one into the other. So if I just pull the fat from the jardiniere, we'll get all the flavor, but then later I can separate it off because the two will essentially never mix. So if I just pull the oil, I'm gonna do about 50-50, and then just a nice vodka as the base. So a little Grey Goose, 50% that as well. As you can see, the two aren't gonna mix. So you'll get all the flavor pulling out of the oil of the jardiniere that'll come through into the vodka.
Great.
And then for the flavor of the produce, what I want to do is essentially blend all this and make a big batch of bright green produce spring and then clarify it. So make a base syrup for our cocktail. Give this a blend with some simple syrup. You smell all the sorrel, all the herbs. If you want to grab that,
Sure.
I'll grab the jardiniere infused Grey Goose and the Grey Goose.
All right,
Let's make a drink.
To the office.
All right, so first step of the drink is we're gonna pour that over some cheesecloth to catch all the solids.
Done.
Perfect. All right, so this just needs to drain, so I'll just put this aside temporarily. So we have the regular Grey Goose, the jardiniere infused Grey Goose, which you should take a look.
I would love to. So you just took it out of that plastic bag, strained it?
Strained it off and kept the oil aside, and now we just have the vodka with a little tint.
It smells exactly like that jardiniere does.
All the spices, a little bit of the oil flavor, but
And the
not
salt.
the texture.
That's really great.
Let's make a cocktail with it. So we'll start with the Grey Goose, 1.5 ounces. We're doing a split of the infused and the straight just so that we don't overpower too much of the flavors. We want a little subtle nuance from the jardiniere. We don't want it to clobber you over the head. So 1/2 ounce of the jardiniere infused Grey Goose, some Fino sherry. This is gonna dry out the snap pea and vegetable syrup. A little lime juice just for the acidity as well, kind of mimic some of the vinegar in the jardiniere. Little herbal liqueur from France, just to up the herb and spice profile. Now I'm gonna grab a little bit of the clarification.
Gotcha. So all the vegetables that we blended.
Exactly.
Look at that.
1 ounce. You can see the clarity compared to the chunkiness that we had before.
I can.
Right, there's a lot of savory flavor, a lot of spice, a lot of vegetable.
Fancy.
So the more classic presentation of the glassware as well down here.
I can't believe how translucent it is, given the amount of vegetables and herbs that we blended into it. It's impressive.
See what you think?
Cheers, sir. Thank you.
Of course. First impressions, what do you think?
First impressions, I'm surprised I get none of the veggies on the nose whatsoever. They're all on the back end. I almost want to put it in like a dirty, dry martini category. The citrus and all of those flavors working together dries it out and almost gives this like umami effect with the salt and the
Right.
oil. Just says how balanced the cocktail actually is. It allows for so much to come forward. Gives this like big, long, luscious drink on the palate. Well done. Well done. All right, last order of business is we have to name this cocktail.
I feel like it would be fitting to name a cocktail with their jardiniere after the family. So
I agree.
What do you think about the Graziano?
Graziano. I love it. You guys are definitely raising the bar here. I mean, the way that you bring your culinary background and all the just complexities, the presentations and the concepts of the drinks, you guys are doing some really cool things.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to Chicago.
The pleasure was all mine, sincerely. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thanks for watching, and join me next week in Dallas for some good old times on the farm.